This is only the beginning. You never stop learning.
We learn from people we work with, we learn from the science, we learn from our patients, we learn from the molecules that we work with. In our blood, there are lots of floating around proteins that help us clot. And factor VIII is one of those proteins for hemophilia A, which is a factor VIII deficiency. The lack of the protein makes it such that the body cannot form a clot.
Hemophiliacs without factor VIII have to infuse themselves 3 times a week. A third to a half don't infuse themselves when they should. It's onerous to try to keep on therapy, and people don't.
But there's other ways to do it. There's a whole bunch of different delivery platforms.
We're at the cusp of a whole different way of treating hemophilia patients. At BioMarin, we have a team. Gordon is the discoverer of the factor VIII gene clone. So he's like a guru in the science of factor VIII.
So Barry was the scientist who originally discovered AAV, characterized it, worked out the idea of using it as a gene therapy vehicle.
I was always convinced that our AAV delivery system is going to be enormously important for gene therapy. 36 years later, we're here, and we've got my AAV vector with Gordon's factor VIII coagulation factor gene in it.
What I bring to the table is really the clinical experience looking at hemophilia and treating patients with bleeding disorders.
It's a wonderful team of AAV, protein, clinical, and that's part of the whole fun of it. You get the experts together teaching each other.
I get to teach, but I get to learn. So that is really a give and take.
What it basically says is a couple of real old guys can eventually get there.
If you don't know gene therapy, it sounds like, oh wow, what is that? What we are doing, we're very focused on looking at a very specific vehicle, which is the vector called AAV5. And this vehicle is designed to bring the gene into the cell and enable it to make a protein that's missing in these patients, which is factor VIII. This potentially enables the person themselves to make the protein.
When you do a clinical trial, you never quite know what you're going to see. There's a real promise here. The principle of the thing is simple. The promise is enormous if you can achieve it.